the end of the day, selling is transferring a feeling. If you don't have the feeling, you can't transfer it. If you don't have a good, positive feeling, dude, you're an actor. You have to sell and run your business from a place of positivity. And however you get there, God bless you. Welcome to the Pete Primeau Show. It is episode 185, and the shoe will be on the other foot today. My amazing producer will be asking me questions, and I will be answering. So thank you, Chris Stone, for not only being an amazing producer, but also being an incredible co-host. So without further ado, let's pay the bills. If you haven't bought my book, Sell a Million, what are you waiting for? 101 tips for furniture and mattress stores to sell another $1 million or more this year. If you get my book and you want help in implementing anything in the book, just call me, 419-560-3169, 100% free, and happy to help you in any way I can in these trying times that we seem to find ourselves in. Also, thank you to Greg and Steve for sponsoring the show. If you are not in the Mattress Industry Network group, what are you waiting for? Over 2.6 thousand people in here already. So help us get to 3,000. Join the group. We help you build, market, and sell and succeed in the mattress industry. If you just feel like you're all alone and you don't want to be all alone anymore, join the group, 100% free. Hit that QR code and join Mattress Industry Network group today. And I get in there a few times a week. Love to see you in there. And my friends at Wingo Coaching. This was an incredible event in Paducah, Kentucky. And there's another one now in Nashville, Tennessee. And Nashville is a much nicer town to get in and out of. Nashville, Tennessee on September 23rd and September 25th. Take advantage of the early bird pricing, which was actually less than the initial kickoff masterclass. If you respond by August 26th. So mark it on your calendar, August 26th, respond, get a hold of Scott Vaughn, increase your door swings, maximize your business performance, become the kind of store your community wants to shop at. All of that in just 2.5 days in Nashville, Tennessee. Do that and thank me later. Got anything else, Chris?
Hi.
Hey, hey, Chris.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Ask Pete. And if this is the first time that anyone has been aboard for Ask Pete, you're in for a treat. So I know we've got some people tuning in from all over. We've got some likes, no comments yet. Everybody's just chicken at this point, but that's okay. We've got questions from people. And so if you're watching this on replay or have seen past shows from Pete Primeau, if you email Pete at peteprimeau@ameritech.net and put in the subject line, Ask Pete, we put those questions here for you. A lot of people, can't catch the show live, Pete, because they're out, their doors are swinging, or they're out, traveling around, going to Vegas and hobnobbing with people like Chris Teheny and Darren Sparks and people like that. So they can't catch it live every Monday at noon. But if you have a question for Pete, the legend that is Pete Primeau answers those questions via email. So I know you're shaking your head because you're too humble to accept that. But Pete, you have to take your flowers every once in a while, sir.
I just don't know if I'm not aging well and people are already burying me. That's all. That's why I'm shaking my head. I'm not like ready to go. I feel like a young kid, man.
All right. So, and one other ground rule here for those who are joining us here on Ask Pete: if you ask a question live, in the chat, wherever you're at, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, or wherever other place we decided to tuck this live stream. If you ask a question live, you get precedent. We put you to the top of the line. So, but we've got questions here we could spend all day talking about from our friends who have emailed us. And so, Pete, as you would say, without further ado, should we rock this out?
Let's rock.
Let's do it. Here we go. Let's go to this is from Thanks in Florida. And Thanks in Florida writes, Pete, how do you find the time to do the Pete Primeau show every week and winning the weekend with Pete and Friends every week, which is on Fridays, plus be a full-time rep for several lines. Thank you for all your contributions to our industry. Thanks in Florida. I think Florida, Thanks in Florida is looking for some organizational tips maybe on how to balance it all. I guess work-life balance isn't really a thing, but how do you get things synced and are able to do this show, the winning the weekend show, and then out being a full-time rep as well during the course of this whole thing?
Well, thank you, Florida. That's a very, very nice last sentence. I would say the very first piece of it is focus, understanding what's important to you. And then after you get very, very clear on your focus, then what you need to do is create leverage. Because you're never going to have enough hours in the day to do everything you want to do just by yourself. So I have two magical words, Jenny and Chris. Chris is my producer, who's kind enough to be asking me questions right now and producing the show at the same time.
Wait, that's me. Okay.
Yeah, that would be you. And Jenny is my wife, who organizes me in our business, as she really runs the business and organizes me personally. So though that is the best thing I could say to you. I don't know, Chris, how you do what you do. You might want to share a little bit with Florida about how you get as much done as you get done, because I don't know how you do it. I really don't.
Yeah, it's sort of the blessing and the curse, right? If you make it look easy, then everybody thinks it is easy. And the truth of the matter is, it took years to get to the spot that Pete's in, and it took years for the spot that I'm in. And if you feel like you're not there yet, thanks in Florida, it may take you years to get to the point. And I think there's a couple of things that I think has that I can see in you, Pete, that I also try to emulate in my world, and that's curiosity. And here you are as someone that probably you don't have to do this at this point. You have means, and you have this, but you have a passion for it, and you're constantly curious about doing this. How many fingers on one hand can you count of people who are your age in the mattress industry that have a podcast and have written a book and continue to serve this industry? Not many, right? And maybe not any. Maybe it's just this. And so, but to get there, it takes curiosity. And in order to allow that mind to be curious, you have to invest in other people. And you touched on it, Pete. You invest in, Jenny's obviously a wonderful partner that you have, not just in life, but in the business. Mm-hmm. And you've mentioned her a number of times and how valuable she is. But you invest in master classes, you invest in coaching, you invest in, mentorship programs. You've invested in the podcast, in me to do this, and I invest in other people that help me do this as well. And so it really is difficult if you don't have the means to be able to go to take that risk, really, of hiring someone or bringing on someone that's maybe not necessarily involved in the business, but going, I know I want to be able to do this. And in order for me to be able to do this, I have to invest in someone or something to get me there. And I think that's really, I mean, listen, Pete, if I weren't able to do this for, God forbid, for whatever reason, you'd find someone else that could do this. They may be different or whatever, but you would do this because it's valuable to your brand, to your business, to your life, and you feel like you're seeing something out of it. And I think a lot of it has to do with your passion and curiosity, and that really takes a certain type of person, I think, that does this. And we have a comment here from our friends at Jacksonville Bedding, Mattress, and More. And let's if we can, let's pivot here, because we do take precedent with the live comments, and we've got some other ones coming in. But I do want to put a pin in the Thanks in Florida thing, because I think this whole time management thing with all of we do, like this is across all kinds of industries.
Oh yeah.
Which is the greatest part about this show is like, I don't know anything about a mattress. I don't, but I do now, right? Because I've been doing this for
osmosis.
3 years, right? But there's so much that people can gain from this podcast, and they don't have to be in the mattress industry.
That's true.
Like you have stalwart executives and leaders on this show that may be in the mattress industry, but what they're giving can apply to any industry. And this is great. So our friends here at Jacksonville Bedding, Mattress and More, what a great show, by the way, last week.
They were
fantastic
amazing. Show. Stu did great. Tara and RJ, it was amazing.
It was. It certainly was. And so this is a question that I'm not sure if it's Tara or RJ that's asking this. You let us know in the chat. And those that caught the show, let us know in the chat as well. Give us your thoughts on that. We'd love to know your thoughts, because that was pretty special show. But if you did not catch the show, just remember all of these are available for replay on all the tubes, including an audio podcast. So wherever you catch your audio podcast, or just go to pprimo.com. The podcast is there as well. So in any event, what is your opinion on all of the new quote unquote smart beds in the industry? From the autopilots to beds that play sounds, haptic feedback, etc. Are these long-term viable solutions in your opinion? Wow.
That's an interesting question. I guess I would challenge the assumption, and the assumption would be it has to be long-term, or it may not have value, which I would not subscribe to. I would say this. I believe that smart beds, especially when they're my smart beds, like Instant Comfort, are insanely valuable. It's a joke. It's valuable whether it's an Instant Comfort or a diamond bed, to be able to offer, to be a complete mattress retailer. So what should you have to be a complete mattress retailer today? At a bare minimum, I think you should have some two-sided. You'll never know how big two-sided is until you put a few of them on your floor. I think you have to have latex. Absolutely have to have latex. You have to have Tempur-Pedic and or a memory foam option, along with memory foam hybrids and latex hybrids. And then you also have to have some type of a smart bed. Some people call them air beds. Mark Klingenberg, if you're listening, I'm just saying that to like broaden the net. I know we don't call smart beds air beds, but and the reason for that is Sleep Number. They sell a full 20 to 25% of all beds that are sold. So you need to understand that as a retailer. I hear a little bit too
Wow.
much poo-pooing of Sleep Number, and you guys, I shopped them. I don't think they're that great. Blah, 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 blah. Dude, do that. They're taking 25% of the market. Wake up.
Mm.
Wake up. 20 to 25% of the market, of the entire mattress market. So that you really need to understand. Are you going to walk 20 to 25% of all people out of your store without even showing them one bed that could compete? So I do believe you should have a smart bed, especially when that smart bed is a bed that competes directly with Sleep Number. They're just too big to ignore. So that's my answer on that. If I didn't answer that, follow up and I'll clarify or go deeper.
That's an interesting. Did you say 20 to 25%
Yeah,
is Sleep Number?
depends on what year, but yes, 20 to 25% of all mattresses sold are Sleep Number by volume.
Wow. So what's your opinion? Well, like, why is it that high? Is it because they're branded so well and they've spent so much money in advertising? People just know that, and they just they trust that, quote unquote
It,
brand.
it's a super it's a really super interesting story. They went to retail, the retailers couldn't sell it, wouldn't sell it,
Hmm.
and they said basically F this. We're going without you. We're going to do our own brick and mortar, and we're not selling you guys.
Wow.
And they developed a compelling message to the public, which resonates with the public. And everybody was proclaiming the death of Sleep Number when they had a slightly, some downward sales, but they popped up nicely and they're doing well. They are an
Yeah.
incredible machine. Love them or hate them. I'm going to say this to all my friends in the mattress industry: be very, very careful of your heart and be very, very
Mm.
careful of your mind. Do not view someone as a competitor. And then what you do is you say, they don't exist. They
Mm.
don't do that much business. They do. Watch your Furniture Today numbers every year, year in and year out, 20 to
Yeah.
25% of the business, too big to ignore.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
And
this is RJ, by the way.
RJ, dude, you just nailed it. They created a size. They created a size. So, like, facial tissue at some point became Kleenex, right? Because Kleenex did such a great job of branding themselves,
Mm.
right? Well, Sleep Number has done a great job with split heads, so much to the point where we're all following the leader. Now there are other uh, number beds that other smart beds that are doing split heads. There are all foam split head beds. There are hybrid split head beds. Um, and yes, and so here's the really important thing I want, RJ, man, dude, you're the best for bringing this up. They only show split heads in their ads. And if you're really a student of the game, pull that back up, Chris. If you're really a student of the game, they only show kings. You know why? Because as of last time I checked, they don't sell split head queens. Massive opportunity. If you have instant comfort on your floor or you have a diamond autopilot on your floor and you have it available in a split head queen, you have something that Sleep Number doesn't have, or at least they didn't
Mm.
have for all these years up till just now. And I fell asleep at the wheel in my um, but that's really, really smart to understand that if a powerhouse like Sleep Number, who's doing 20 to 25% of all the mattress business, if they're advertising split heads, should you just let them walk away with that business? Or should you be advertising split heads? Should you be advertising your smart beds as well? The answer in my world is yes, you
Yeah.
should.
Present an alternative, right? It doesn't, I mean, if you're selling, the same sort of thing, it's like not everybody trusts all of these brands, right? It's, not everybody loves Starbucks. Not everybody,
Right.
they love Dunkin' Donuts, or whatever in
Yeah.
presenting options. This is a good analogy here. Cotton swab, Q-tip, like everybody says, like that is technically a cotton swab, but that Q-tip has become like when everybody says, "Hey, do you have a
100%.
Q-tip?" Gelatin, Jello. It's actually gelatin, right?
Yeah.
Incredible marketing gets you to that point. Again, like I know this is for the mattress industry, but this is gold for whatever industry that you're in. And we've got a ton of people here that are chiming in the chat. We're going to get to your questions, and we're definitely going to get back to thanks in Florida because I think it's really good to be talking about some of these time saving tips. And a lot of people feel like they've got to do all of the things and they can't focus on the one thing. And they're like, Pete, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? So if you're in the chat, we'd love to know what some time saving tips that you have for us to share. Like, Pete definitely has his ways of doing it. And we've talked about investing in other people and staying curious and how you manage that. But, maybe you have some tips. Maybe there's a piece of software. Maybe it's the mattress retailer toolkit or like whatever it is. We'd love to know what what kind of time saving tips that you all have for us to share. Our friend Stu Segura, who is now like co-host of the year, he's taken my seat as co-host of the year. Stu says Pete's our industry's Stephen A. Smith, except he talks less smack. Pete, do you know who Stephen A. Smith is?
I don't.
Okay. All right. He's an ESPN mouth. Let's just say that, but he's like he's credible in terms of like talking about basketball and football, for years. Anyway, that is what he's got. And then Stu says a double-sided firm has been a staple for years at Mattress Doctor. They are in at least 3 to 4 states that came from my little shop. Customer loved them so much that they're in their Airbnb / vacation home.
Thank you, Stu. Appreciate that. You never know what you're missing. Everybody says, "Oh, I take all those two-sided customers and I make them and I sell them all." And then they put two-sided on and they go, "I never knew that many people really wanted two-sided." So,
and Stu does have a question. He asked, I would have thought Tempur-Pedic was higher, but that is very interesting. Are there any Sleep Number inside of other sleep shops or only in the Solo stores?
only Solo stores. Stu, once upon a time, they sold at regular brick and mortar retailers. They got frustrated very fast and packed up their wagon and took it internally, and they created a monster. So I guess they were right, and us that really weren't fair to them in the retail stores and really didn't show the product and spend the time marketing it, spent the time training on it. It's not an easy product to sell. Smart beds are not easy to sell. And that, so you get into that whole question about, is it good for my business or is it easy? And a lot of times what's good for your business isn't easy. And that applies to almost every business. So,
yeah, if it were easy, everybody'd do it, right?
Right.
And so you got to be willing to put in the work. I know Stu is one that knows that very well. So as to dovetail off of that point, Pete, we've got a comment here from Edward Collins. The smart technology bases with tracking and the haptic mattresses have been a game changer for my son with Down syndrome and many other customers with disabilities. So,
Ed, thank you for sharing that. That's super important because sales is one thing, closing more sales, appealing to more customers, making more profit, but changing people's lives, isn't that what we really all signed up for? I mean, really? We want to have an impact. We want our life to mean something. Our life means something when we impact other people's lives. And when you help somebody get a better night's sleep, especially somebody who has a disability or a challenge, it is a game changer for me. Um, I always think of the Grinch that Stole Christmas, and his heart gets bigger, bigger, bigger. Whenever I hear
Yeah.
these stories, my heart gets bigger, bigger, bigger. So thank you, Ed, for sharing that with us.
I think I'm gonna make a meme or a GIF or a video of that where it's like you're like the Grinch and the heart's growing. Although it's hard for me to think of you as the Grinch to begin with, but
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
some great stuff here. Andrew or Andy Anderson, if you could go back in time and give one piece of advice to younger Pete. Uh-oh, here we go. The show's over now. I mean, he just basically, I should have waited till last on this one. But one, I'm giving, you see how I'm doing this, Pete? I'm giving you time. I'm getting, I can see the smoke coming
I'm
out of your
good.
ears at this point.
I'm
One
good.
piece of advice to younger Pete Primeau, what would it be?
This is what I would say. Andy, this is what I would say to young Pete. Pete, you are putting so much pressure on yourself. You're making yourself so miserable. You're trying to be so perfect all the time. You're working so much. I want you to know that I'm your future and it's all okay. And guess what? I wish you would just smell the roses and enjoy the ride a little bit more. Enjoy the people you're meeting, and you are going to have more success than you ever dreamed of. And you are going to have more fun than you ever dreamed of. But what you really need to do is just start relaxing and stop putting so much pressure on yourself. That's what I would say to a younger Pete.
What was the pressure that you had? Was it providing? Was it just you want you okay?
Perfectionism, same crap you got.
All right.
I mean, we all have it. Like Janakovo, we all, Scott Vaughn. We're like all cut from that same cloth fundamentally. Like we want to be perfect. We want to make an impact.
Mm,
I always wanted my dad and my mom to be proud of me. I wanted my
mm,
brothers and my sister to be proud of me.
yeah.
I wanted to show the few people along the way who didn't believe in me that they were wrong,
Mhm.
and probably worked too much. Probably could have gotten the same results with a little bit less effort and a lot more fun, because that's the whole key. You've
Yeah.
got to be able to relax at some point and understand it's going to be okay.
Mm,
And you know what? Who's in front of you right now? How can you serve them? And how can I ask them a question that will help me to help them better? And the biggest mistake that I'm probably made was to-do lists. Dude, my to-do lists were like 50.
mhm.
Trying to do like 50, 60 things in a day. It's like we all, yeah, you're laughing because you did it, right?
Yep, yep.
And somebody said, be honest. Like, do you ever think of something that wasn't on your to-do list? You did it, but you write it down and you cross it out just to give yourself that high. I think it was Marnie. And I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, guilty. I still do it. It's terrible. And it's gonna be okay. Tara, 100%. And I've totally passed on the perfectionist gene to my 10-year-old.
You know what I think is, a lot of unfortunately, a lot of people that have this perfectionism, I call myself a recovering perfectionist as well. Um, they they don't realize it until it's too late, and they don't take care of themselves, right? They don't take, mental health is obviously that's a buzzword that everybody's using, but it is super important to
Yeah.
make sure, because you're never going to be on your deathbed and wish you'd worked more.
No.
Or you're never going to be on your deathbed and wish you'd made more money.
Yeah.
So you think about what you might not want to regret, which is probably spending more time with your loved ones,
Yeah.
your family, impacting others. So when you leave and you have some sort of legacy to leave behind. And it's really why I do this is, you know, this recorded content will live on past me, or as long as Elon Musk allows it to sit up there on the interwebs once he controls it all. But it's, and so when you think like that, then things just kind of clear the clouds kind of clear a little bit for you, right? You're like, hey, you know what? If I missed this sale, there's going to be another one, and there's no sense freaking out over it.
Yeah.
Really isn't.
Yeah.
What did I learn from it? Maybe next time, it doesn't happen. And I think sometimes it's too late for some people because they can't stop until something stops them.
Yeah. And so, Andy, one of the things that's interesting about sales in general, um, is we earn a lot of money by offering our customers creative solutions that another salesperson never offered.
Mm.
And why did we offer that? Because we got to know them on a deeper level. We asked better questions. How do you get to know somebody at a deeper level and ask better questions? Do you have to be confident in yourself? Yeah, you sure do. But you have to have fun and you have to be creative. The first thing that goes when you start putting pressure on yourself is your creativity. And it's a salesperson's secret weapon. Write that down. Creativity is a salesperson's special weapon. It is something that will set you apart from everybody else. And here's the thing. Don't take things out of a textbook and regurgitate them to customers ever. Make them your own. Your customers are not buying a white or a black or a gray rectangle or a purple rectangle for that matter. They're not buying a rectangle. They're buying a couple of things. Number one, they're buying outcomes, waking up happy and pain free, but they're also buying an experience with you. And if you make shopping fun and you crack them up and you laugh with them, and maybe you cry with them too sometimes. RJ told a great story, and Tara and RJ did a great job with that customer because they basically had a customer who was so angry and they had to get it out, and they let them get it out and they commiserated with them, and they truly cared about that customer, that they changed that customer's life. Forget about they sold a mattress that was a good profitable mattress. They changed might have saved a marriage. I mean, the impact that we can have in that brick and mortar store by just listening to a little old lady or to a young person who feels disenchanted, like nobody listens to me, nobody cares about what I think about. You care. You let them know that you care, and there is magic in that. And I didn't do enough of that when I was younger. I was going through my checklist of Zig Ziglar's questions or Tommy Hopkins questions, and a sales manager said, "Pete, I know what you're going to say before you say it."
Ooh,
That's not good,
no.
but that was a sledgehammer that I thank God for every day. It's
Mm.
like, be real, be authentic, have fun with your customers, be creative, and it doesn't have to be hard, Andy. That's what I would say to a younger Pete. Sorry, you got me going.
No, I told you this would be the show. A number of shows that I do, Pete, and you know this, are in the sales realm. And to a person, they all say the only difference between what you're selling and what somebody else selling is you.
Yeah,
That's the only difference.
that's the
These
truth.
products, these services, they're all the same. The only difference is you. And you want to say, well, pricing is the difference. Sure. And you can knock down the price and take it, cut into your margin. Sure. Does that make you really different? No. Is that the customer you want to attract? Probably not.
No.
And so I think in a lot of cases, if you can figure out a way to be you, and you're not for everybody. That's the other thing we all have to come to grips with, right? That's another sledgehammer. It's like not everybody is going to want to hire Chris Stone to do their podcast because they might not like me. They might not trust me. That's okay. That's okay. Because last time I checked, there's plenty of people that want to do this. So,
Yep.
I think those are things that are great mindset things to stay on. Is like you talked about, and this was a great question. I think again applies to every industry.
Thanks,
Should we?
Andy.
Yeah, should Texas Mattress Barn, I think this was related to Sleep Number, is asking, are they still buying Mattress Firm? This came in.
That's TSI, Glenn. Glenn, thanks for the question. Right now it's in the courts. That's TSA, not Sleep Number. So
Okay.
those are two different companies.
See, I told you I didn't know anything about the industry.
Yeah, and listen, it gets a little bit confusing.
Hey.
And he might have been looking at Stu's question. I was kind of wondering where the Tempur-Pedic thing was coming from, and God only knows I could have misspoke too. So, but no, TSI and Mattress Firm, that whole thing is going through the courts right now. My gut feeling is you'll probably see it happen, but I would say this: I've seen plenty 3-2 decisions. And when I saw a 5-0 decision, that was clearly sending a message. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that whole thing. Anybody else got anything?
I think we're ready to roll here with. Do we want to? We put a pin in this thing that Thanks in Florida asked us about how we manage and how you manage everything. Are we? Do we feel like we want to touch on any of that? We don't have a number of other. I mean, obviously,
let's bat this ball around just a smidge because it's important. So this is what I'm going to lead off with, Chris, and then you can take off. We have to get comfortable when it comes to us getting more done in a day with the word no. Two different ways. No to myself. No, I can't do that thing because it doesn't fit into my goals and my focus and does not. So I have to say no to myself. Yes, I want to do that, but no, I can't do it right now. But we also have to, and gets hard, guys, gals. It really gets hard. You got to say no to other people. And you have to say no to other people every day. And you can say no and be nice about it. You don't have to be mean about it, but you have to say no. Chris, what say you?
Yeah. Stop being so thirsty, right? You're going to have to, you can't do all of the things. And you know your limitations. The other thing that I learned early on that, may or may not help you, thanks in Florida, is that, especially early on when I started this business, is that everybody wanted to pick my brain. You start showing up in these networking things and you start showing up, which is, it's super important to, not only to just help people, but to kind of go through things and to meet new people in your industry. Those lead to great things. But wow, did I end up spending way too much time just giving, and I realized, you know what, I'm not. This is not, and I'm not talking about reciprocation here. I'm not saying, hey, if I do this, I should be getting this. But you just have to understand, like, how much time are you spending during the day for things that are not helping you, and spending time with people who are just taking from you, and having tough conversations, like you said, and saying no sometimes, and understanding, hey, I have a family that I have to get to. I can't, and I know I need to do this in order to accomplish these things for myself, for my business, giving to others, but not spending time on things that are just not going to do anything for you. And I think
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of people, and probably are, and I'm probably a lot of people are going, yep, yep, yep. I spent hours on Zoom calls, especially in 2020 and 2021,
Yeah.
where people wanted to pick my brain, and I don't have a brain cell left. And, I'm wearing a barrel because I don't have, any money for new clothes. So I think that's the other thing I think I learned, is understand where you need to, cut cords and move forward.
Yeah. And I would say this, in Florida, if you're trying to become more effective and get more done, um, journal. It's a huge
Mm,
it's a huge thing that you can do, and you can find out where your time is being spent. Um, and so here's a line in the sand that I ask myself: Is this family time? Is this family time? And if this is family time, then my family comes first and foremost. And unless it's like an emergency, the roof is burning down and I have to go help put the fire out, nothing is gonna nothing is gonna get me to stop spending that pre-allotted time with my family. Um, and you can take this to an extreme. And I'm not saying that, but what I am leaning towards is I'm trying to help someone who's probably a workaholic, probably a perfectionist like me, and needs to protect their family from their ambition. So think about those guardrails and think about lines that you don't want to cross anymore. Maybe start like this: lines that I've crossed that I wish I hadn't, and what does it look like in the future? What new decision will I make in the present moment when this same situation presents itself again? Because it does. The same situations you have today, at least 20 to 30 of them, you've already experienced the same exact situation on a different day, different faces, different places, but it's the same thing. And so put up some guardrails, some boundaries, protect your family from yourself.
wow. I love it. Are we ready to
Yeah,
move to the next
the
one?
perfectionism thing is really kicking in. Now I know I can't get through everything. Okay.
So here's a long one.
Wow.
So I'm just going to go ahead and read it, and then we can pick this apart here. This is from On Edge in Arizona.
Okay.
And On Edge says, "Hey, Pete, I'm so proud of you. I remember being reps together at CERTA. I also remember you sharing in small groups how you analyzed dealers and their business. I walked away from your small group with several concrete ideas to grow my territory. It's long overdue, but please know that it's genuine. Thank you," in all caps. "I love that you have created a multi state, multi line repping company. I'm currently a VP of sales and have been for a few years. Ownership is getting more intrusive and increasingly aggressive as sales are down. I feel foolish for believing that I would work hard, grow the business, and retire from my current company. I'm a few years younger than you. Is it too late for me to create a company like yours? Thanks, from On Edge at Arizona."
Wow. You see, I got this because I know who this is. Well, number one, thank you for your kind words, and let's get to your situation. And the first thing I need to say, you are not foolish. We
Mm.
all believe that. We all believe that we pour out our lifeblood, give everything we have, and it's all going to turn out roses. We all believe that. You believed it was Sony, Chris. You thought you'd be there the rest of your life. And you realized it was a toxic culture that you
Mhm.
couldn't abide in, that
That's
you
right.
could not thrive in, that you could not continue to be part of. And that has happened to me at least two times in my career where I thought, uh, I am giving this thing everything I can and then some, and it's still not enough. So separate some of this stuff out. So you're not foolish. So let's back that train up and just park it and let's go forward. Um, my guess is you're 52. So you're still young enough to do whatever you want to do. Number one, create a company like yours. So my company is very different. My company involves multiple lines, multiple states with uh, could never run this company without my wife, number one. So on edge, know that if you want to create something like me, you're going to have a Jenny, whether she's your wife or whether he or she is somebody else, but you're going to have a Jenny because it's going to be too much if you try to do this. And so let me tell you how it happened for me, just so you understand. Now here, I'll just kind of give you a synopsis of my career. I wanted to be a rep the minute I got into the business, but I fell in love with retail sales and I really got good at it. I sucked so bad when I started. It is absurd. I mean, I was the worst salesperson ever. You couldn't even call what I was a salesperson. I was a shy guy who missed making pro football and had to find a way to feed his family. That's the bottom line. And I got really good at it and I didn't want to leave, but I had to leave because of the time constraints the job was putting on me and the inability to be with my family. So I got out of retail after 7 years. I tried to get out of retail, but I was such a crappy interview. It took me 2 more years. So I was 9 years in retail, and the rest of my 43 years, I've been in wholesale. And I got a job at sort of mattress company. I was going to be there the rest of my life, and that was not to be. And then I became a VP of sales, and I was going to be there the rest of my life, but I got lured away with money with a company that was on the verge of bankruptcy. And supposedly I was going to be the savior, and I did my best to save it, but that company went away. And then I had to make a decision. I went through 3 interviews with Simmons before they were part of SSB. And I was going to go with them, but I started to ask myself questions like, if it's this hard to get hired, what's it going to be like to get something done for my dealers when I need to color outside the lines a little bit and get something done? So I went with a company called United Sleep Products. I never wanted to own my own company. But here I was, this new thing called a 1099 rep, United Sleep Products. It was a great opportunity. It was a great product. The salespeople were literally making 5 to 10 times as much money as the regular reps in the industry. And I wanted to be part of that. And so that's what I did. And as time went by, my responsibilities grew at that company, and I was encouraged to take on other lines, which I did. So at one point I had 2 or 3 lines there. So that's how getting multiple lines started. It really wasn't my idea. It was Paul Sullivan's idea. Paul Sullivan was general manager at United Sleep Products. And he said, Pete, he goes, I want to talk about your future. I cut him off at the pass, Chris. I said, are you going to fire me? Just like that. Are you going to fire me?
Usually, when the boss wants to talk about the future, it's like, it's like when your partner comes up to you and says, we need to talk.
And we're face to face. And I'm like, are you going to fire me? He goes, no, if I was going to fire you, I would have done it over the phone. I wouldn't do it face to face with you. Which kind of made me laugh. And he said, "This is what I want you to do." One of our best reps in the whole country, his name is Rick Lynch. And Rick Lynch uh, struggled as a 1099 rep until he picked up another line. So I want you to pick up another line. So I did at the encouragement of a guy that was, guaranteeing me X amount of dollars a month, and really wasn't happy with the results the first year. And The rest is history. I became the number one rep at that company for many years before that company got sold to private equity. And then we know the rest of that story. And then I'll just fast forward. And I was a rep in Ohio for many, many years and part of Western PA. Um, I hired a great salesperson, Nick Marcos, 19 years ago, um, who's been my business partner ever since. And we were able to take on more territory. And we had lines coming to us saying, Pete, would you take on more territory? And I said, well, yeah, okay. Well, like what? And I'll never forget the first one was Protect the Bed asking me if I want Kentucky. And I said, no. I said, no, 5 times. I said, I'm never going. I'm not going to go. Just be the phone rep. Just call them and see if they're doing okay. So I finally did it. And so now I have Indiana, Michigan, Kentucky, Western PA. Did I say Indiana?
Yeah.
So there's West Virginia. There's a core of 6 states. A lot of those states, I either touched people as a VP of sales at White Dove when I was a VP of sales at White Dove, or when I was the VP of sales at United Sleep Products. So that's kind of how it happened. It happened by accident. And then people were my great friend, Chris Tahaney, and my boss at DreamFit, when he was my boss at Protect the Bed, encouraged me to take on more territory. And that's when I took on Michigan. That's when I hired, Enzo. And so, we have a team of 3 other reps besides me and Jenny. So that's how my business kind of happened. Could you do it today? Yes. You have to be very, very careful in this. You need to make sure that you win, and you win big for your retailers, first and foremost. And you have to win for your manufacturers. If you take on a territory, you have to deliver business to those manufacturers. And so when you're dealing with 6 manufacturers like I do, everybody's looking at you cross-eyed. They all know about each other. There's no secrets. They all know about each other. But it didn't all happen at once. It happened with one main line, and then the other lines kind of happen. You can do it. You can build it. By the way, I think my phone number hasn't changed, brother. It's 419-560-3169. Call me when you have a few hours to talk about this stuff, because yes, you can do it. Is it going to be easy? No, it's not going to be easy. It wasn't easy for me. And a lot of it got thrown at me, my friend. A lot of it was just time and great bosses who really cared deeply about me, and who, quite frankly, knew that I could help their business if they gave me additional responsibilities. So, I've been very blessed to build a great rep team and have great bosses and people I enjoy doing business with, who actually help my dealers. And I cannot believe that this episode is almost over, Chris.
Well, I would add one other thing to this. It looks like On Edge in Arizona here. I think it's tough. It's difficult for anybody to hit pause on everything and go, okay, what am I in control of, and what am I not in control of? And it was similar to the mindset we talked about in the earlier question. And it's easy to feel foolish for this. I was in that boat.
Yeah.
But my attitude was what I was in control of. And my attitude affected my performance. And so what I knew that I needed to stitch my parachute to leave the company that I was in, I knew that this was not going to end well, or end like I should say, end like I wanted it to. And so when I knew that, I couldn't just let things get under my skin and just be angry about things. And he's mentioning here ownership is getting more intrusive and increasingly aggressive. And so like those are things that you're not in control of. But what you are in control of is how you let it affect your attitude and your performance. Because if your performance and your attitude go down, you probably are going to be out sooner than you think. And so that may not work with your timeline in creating your own company like I did or whatnot. So that's just another. I mean, we're talking a lot about mindset, but I think it's important to understand what you're in control of. And for me, it's my attitude and it's my performance. And it sounds like this person is very proud of their performance and has been doing that, working hard and growing the business. But the attitude can absolutely perform or work against your performance. So
Yeah, that's great advice, Chris. Something else I would say is this: try to control what you can control and let go of the things that you can't. Um, as long as you're there, dude, you got to do the best you can for them. Um, but you also have to be realistic about how this thing ends. And if you know that this thing is not going to end well already, you need to kind of speed things up. But I would try to control the fall because, and here's the other thing. And I should have said this at the beginning. Um, to do what I did takes a lot of money. And when I first started, I didn't have a lot of money. So I slept in my car. I took showers in restrooms in rest areas. I mean, this is not a pretty picture of what I went through my first few years. It takes a lot of money to be a rep on the road, and you just need to be aware of that and the reality of how can I do this now. There's tools today that we didn't have. Um, when I made my move, it was before computers. As a matter of fact, I remember Paul Sullivan telling us we had to get computers or we'd be fired. And I almost quit on principle. Like, how dare this guy make me buy a computer?
wow.
So anyway, we got to wrap it up. Call me 419-560-3169. There's a lot for us to talk about to make sure that you don't think it's going to be easy, because it won't be easy. But can it be done? Can you do more on a computer today than ever before? Yes. Can you do more on your phone today than ever before? Yes. So there are some. I guess we didn't get to our other questions. I guess we'll save them for next time.
Yeah, we can save them for next time. We did have another question that came in from Texas Mattress Barn about requests for donations and sponsorships. Received over 27 requests last week. Trying not to offend people. And how do you politely deal with all these requests for donations and sponsorships?
Yeah, Glenn. Well, it could be Parker too. So Glenn or Parker. This is what I would say. This is the language that I would use. I would love to participate this year. I'm not sure that I can do it. I probably can't. Business isn't great, but leave your information. If I can't do it this year, maybe I can do it next year. I want to participate. I want to be part of the community, but sometimes I'm in the tough position of having to say no. Unfortunately, I find myself in that position right now and really look pathetic. That's the important part. And don't be driving around in a Rolls Royce. If you got a dirty old pickup that you can drive around, do that. So
Good stuff.
That's how I would handle that, guys. You first of all, even in the best of years, you couldn't say yes to everybody.
That's right.
You have to prioritize and just give them the standard thing. And then, you talk with your partners about it and you see what you can and can't do. And most of the time it's a no, but you'll pick a handful that you'll do over the course of a year. But 27, what, in a day or a week was that?
A week.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you
Times
won't have
52
any
weeks,
budget
man.
left.
That's brutal.
Yeah. You won't have any budget left. And I think, especially, you have a heart for some of these people. And if you just, if you give to everyone, it may not be the best business decision. So maybe take control over what, you can give and set yourself a line and just kind of say, hey, listen, I can't do it right now. But next time I may be able to, and if you'd like to really give to them, even though you don't have the funds to do it, because we've been approached as well. And, just kind of say, hey, this is when I know I'm going to have budget next time to be able to do it. So come back to me, at this time, we'll put you up front kind of thing, give them some hope for next time, I guess.
Yeah. And whether this is Glenn or Parker, I know you guys just recently joined the MRT. Put that in the MRT chat in our private group.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys and gals in there who are super creative, got great ideas, and you'll see at least 5 to 6 other ways of handling that might be perfect for your personality. So there it is. Hit that mattressretailertoolkit.com if you haven't already. And that is a great community that Jeff is building. Well, thank you, super producer Chris.
Oh, stop.
More. Hey guys, listen, thank you so much.
Great show.
For your questions. I mean, JR, Tara, who else was in there? I think Chris might have been in there. Andy, Glenn and Parker, Stu. Thank you guys. And we're going to jump on our Zoom call right now. Ed, thank you, Ed, for being here. Appreciate you. Well, thank you, Chris. Have a great weekend.
Sell a million, Pete.
You sell a million too. Take care, buddy.
All right, take care.
See you.